Hi and welcome back to this week's episode. My name's Neil and welcome to Retro for You. So this is going to be a short video. I've been so busy this week. You probably noticed I've got a lot of drawers behind me now which I've actually put up this week. They're all for sorting out my components, so I should be able to just get to my components now when I need them and be a lot more organised. Well, that's the plan anyhow. Today we're working on a BBC B. Now it's not a normal BBC B 32K. It's a BBC B plus 64K. Now I haven't seen inside one of these myself. This is the first time I've actually seen one myself. I never had these at school. We only had the 32K models. So without further ado, let's crack on. The BBC B was a well-known computer in the UK. It was used in a lot of schools. I myself use these throughout school. Also, it had its iconic keyboard with its clickety-clack, which were absolutely brilliant on these machines. And then we went on to the Master 128K. But this is not a BBC B. It's a BBC B Plus, which has 64K of memory, which is double that of the 32K system. Now inside as well, we'll probably notice some differences on the board. I haven't actually opened one of these up myself, so this is all new to me. And whatever we see today will be the first time I've seen inside one of these. Before we open this up though, let's take a look inside, open the power supply and replace these reefer caps. Because we know, if we don't, within 19 seconds, it's about 19 seconds, this shed will be full of toxic fumes and smoke. And that is something I don't want to see. So without further ado, let's crack on. Right, let's get this thing open. Always take care when working these old machines, as obviously aging plastics can make things very brittle. We should be able to lift this off now, just like so. Now you can see inside there is some differences already. The ROMs are down this side when they used to be down here. So what is good is we can actually remove these ROMs and replace them without removing the keyboard. So that to me is a win-win. There's a dreaded power supply which we need to take out and have a look. So we'll just get that removed now and start replacing those caps. Now the power supply is held in by 3 screws here. 1, 2, 3. Next we start by removing the keyboard by just pulling these wing nuts and screws off here, each side. And then just simply unplug the connector off the main board, just like so, and then we can move this out of the way. So I have one connector here which is for the speaker, so we just need to simply unplug that off the board. So next we need to remove this wiring loom here, which has got the -5 here, which is a purple. I think off the top of my head that's for the sound. And these ones here should all be +5 volt. And obviously the other one is the ground. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull them off the board. It's quite simple. They just push on to the pins. Now don't worry if you can't remember where they go, because they are marked on the board. 0 volt for the ground and 5 volt for the 5 volt. So don't worry about that. That's easy enough. Now all this is removed, we can now remove this power supply. And then what we need to do is just pull this through, oh, like so. And by rights, the plug should pull at an angle like that, and that is the power supply removed. So what else we're going to do is we're just going to give this board a good dust off. So next we'll just take the screws out of the board. So we should be able to just touch the soldering iron on and just whip these two off. Just like so. Easy as that. Now we should be able to remove the board by pulling it forward and then just pulling it out the back. Just like so. And then we'll give all this a clean out. It looks quite good, so we're just going to spend some time and give that a clean. It doesn't look as if it's been worked on, which is absolutely brilliant. It looks really good. Been no chips re-socketed, which is great. I have noticed I've a 6512 instead of the 6502. I guess this is an upgraded 6502. I'm not quite sure. If you know, then drop me a comment down below. Let's look at this power supply. Now, surprise, surprise, somebody already has replaced these. Now that is the other cap that needs replacing. Usually it's a refurb, that's been replaced by a modern equivalent. And also the other one down here has been replaced as well as this one here. So that's a good one. Now I have noticed these two caps here are slightly bulged, so I haven't actually got any of them at the moment, so unfortunately won't be able to replace them. So before we put this in the BBC, we need to just give it a test and see how it works. So we're just going to turn it on like so, and we're just going to test the voltage now on each of those connectors. I should be able to put that in there to get a ground, and I should be able to go onto these here. So you can see there we've got 5 volt. Next we have 5 volt. I'm just checking these in case there's any breaks. Next we have 5 volt, and the last one here should be -5 or -4, which it is. So that's all good. Now I'm being very careful not to touch any of this, because obviously a lot of this is live and it will actually cause me a shock live on the video, which I don't want. So without further ado, now this is tested, let's crack on and we'll get this put back in the BBC. Here we go, let's get this thing back together. So I'm connected now via OSCC. I'm connected through the RGB into the SCART, and hopefully when I turn this on, let's see what happens. Sounds very familiar. Look at that, it's actually working. I haven't had many machines like this I can just turn on and it works. It says Acorn OS 64K, which is actually brilliant. Let's try the keyboard. So the keyboard seems to be working as well. That's really brilliant. Number 6 key is sitting rather high for some reason compared to the rest. Is that normal? I don't know. I need to look at that, why that's sitting so high. But everything else seems to be working. We're going to strip this keyboard down one day anyway and give it a good look. So let's just try running a program on it. 10. Yeah, I'm not very good at programming. Retro for you. 20, go to 10. Run. There you go. Look at that. absolutely brilliant. So this machine works fine. I'm going to carry on putting it back together. Now this was a quick video, so I'll see you in the outro. Thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it wasn't what I had planned this week, but I needed to look at this BBC, so for as I'm strapped for time, I'm just going to pull the BBC out and have a look, and I did hope to recap it, but as you saw in the video, it didn't need doing. There's no point in doing it if it's already been done. But also, if you do happen to have a BBC Master, etc., I always suggest you take the thing apart and check those caps before you plug it in, because like I said before, they just go up in smoke. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It always helps the channel. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. We're approaching 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely brilliant. I think I'm about 160 away or something like that. Don't forget to check out my YouTube buddies down below. We got likes of Captain Commodore, 8-Bit Retro Refix, Josib Retro Bits. The links are down below. Also, don't forget to drop me a comment down below, even if it's just hello. News-wise, what's coming up in future videos, I do have an Amiga 500 Plus board to have a look at that's been sent in to me. Apparently it's stopped working. I think it's outputting a red flashing screen or something strange like that, so that will be coming up in a video in the near future. Also, we have the project from PCBWay. I'm just waiting on a few bits to arrive and I will be starting that. So one of those videos will be coming soon. And on that note, I'll see you next time on Retro for You. See you soon, guys. Bye.